What?
Dazzle Rainbow. All right, welcome guys. This is unfortunately we had our game forfeit today between Team Dignitos and Notice Me Senpai. Team Dignitos having to forfeit a game due to not having a player available to play, and they didn't have any subs. So today we are bringing you a weekly podcast. We're gonna do not necessarily always on Thursdays since we have games, but call this little segment Dazzle's Discussions. I'll be your host, Blake Dazaninator Zanadine. My guest today and my co-host, as always, Carter Silky Mittens Asselford. How's it going, buddy?
How's it going, man? Good to be here as always.
Yeah, so today we're just going to kind of talk about the league, talk about the meta, kind of transition, take a look at the world picks, the brackets, who we think is going to be successful. I mean, we want your guys' opinion. Feel free to throw stuff in chat, ask us questions. It's going to kind of be an interactive feedback thing. We'll try and keep an eye on Twitch chat, answer any questions you guys have for us related to pretty much anything, unless, Carter, is there anything too personal that they can ask you?
No, you know what? I'm an open book, so just ask me anything. I'll try and give you. We actually have our first question, Dazzle. I think this is something we should start with before we move on to the league related stuff. We have a young viewer by the name of Zara Malley asking, how did you choose your name? I assume that's to both of us, so I guess we might as well start off with that. Break the ice a little bit with our viewers.
All right. Well, do you
want
want
to go first?
You start. You want to kick it?
Okay. I'll start. So, Silky Mittens comes about by way of being kind of hockey slang. I don't know if any of you viewers watch or play hockey, but someone who's really skilled with the puck, it's often said that they have soft hands, and hockey players love to give funny names to everything, so they call hands mitts, and so that's just another way of saying skilled with the puck. But that's kind of a name for me because I was a defenseman, so Silky Mittens doesn't really fit me, but that's where I got my name. Dazzle, how about you?
Time out. You have some of the softest hands I know. Can confirm. But Dazaninator came around. I don't know. My last name's Xanadine. I didn't really use the name Xaninator until Xbox Live. I started my Xbox Live account. I'm like, man, I need like a cool name, and I was like, oh, Xaninator. That's pretty cool. People used to call me that in hockey when I used to play hockey. So made myself Xaninator 19, and then I went to make it in League of Legends, and somebody had taken Xaninator 19. I was distraught, so I just threw the Xaninator in front of it, and that was it. It was the rest is history. Now I'm a legend. So no, it's
Awesome. Yeah, it's pretty interesting to note. I think the Twitch chat so far likes my name a lot better, so chalk one up for Silky Mittens. That's one zip.
I'm sorry, is this a competition? I've got
Well,
thoughts.
we're gonna start turning it into one. All right.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to get into this, or
Fair enough. Well, yeah, so I guess we'll take a look. We had week 3 this week. On Monday, we had Just Us Guys versus Indecision. It was a 2-0 for Indecision. Game 1 was fairly close, I would say. It was a longer game. They duked it out. In fact, the funny thing is that this entire week was rematches of teams and the qualifying brackets. Just Us Guys and Indecision coming out of one of the brackets, 1-2. Fellowship of the Nerds and Thunder Ducks also played in brackets, as well as Land Before Time, Vicious Delicious. Team Dignitos and Notice Me Senpai would have also, but the forfeit came through. So, why don't you talk a little bit about our first game?
Absolutely. So the first game we had Just Us Guys versus Indecision. Coming into this one, you might say that Indecision was favored, but they had a really rough week 2, so it was kind of going to be interesting to see how these guys bounce back. But the tail of this game, right at the start, we had roster swaps on both sides. We had Weeblit come in, and he was the jungler up till now, but go down to support for this week. And then we had Disc Kings come in for Similodon in the top lane, and DXI Edge coming from the substitute position and coaching position into starting jungle this week. And now, Just Us Guys, they always like to kind of swap around their roster, so they also did some of that. But it was going to be interesting to see with all these swaps who was going to stay composed and show the most synergy.
It was very interesting. I think, I agree. Like, both teams kind of needed, Indecision coming off a pretty rough loss, 2 or 0-2 week against Vicious and Delicious from week 2. They changed up the roster a lot, but it definitely seemed to work. We saw DXI bring out Rek'Sai, which is something we haven't seen we play at all, so maybe a different champion pool. Disc King's playing about the same kind of champion. Stuck with the Maokai game one. Saw the Tristana come down with a Morgana come out from Weeblet. So a bit of a different champion pool on the side of Indecision. Just us guys switching Athena, into the jungle for ODLN. I really liked his aggressive playstyle. Like ODLN was more like we talked about this farmed. He was the only jungler we've ever seen go back and buy Flask for
I think
sustaining the jungle.
ODLN is on Team Dignitas,
No,
isn't he?
ODLN is on Just Us Guys. Come on. Do you watch these games?
Oh, sorry, Ender was in today. Okay, right. ODLN didn't play this week, right? Okay, sorry.
Were you sleeping during
I
these
was
matches?
losing.
I believe you casted these games with me.
I honestly did cast them.
But
me and you do it.
no, and that's the thing. I thought Athena very different play style because ODLN is more of a farmer. Last week he tried to get a little more aggressive with that Jarvan play, but it looked very successful for them in game one. Athena got all the lanes kind of snowballing. He got them going early.
So there was 2 stories to game one, and pretty much the first story ended at 20 minutes because up until the 20-minute mark, Justice guys were really taking it to Indecision in pretty much in every lane, and the key to that was their lockdown and their aggressiveness. Athena was ganking like a madman for the first 10 minutes. Got, like you said, got every lane ahead. Ender was able to do what Lissandra does, lock people down. Kelthais had a miserable early game to mid game even on this game. He was really shut down. At one point, he was 1-7, and then you look at the final score, and that's where story 2 comes into this game. The mid game came around, the late game, the shot calling, the rotations, and the team fighting were just overall more impressive by Indecision, and some really lackluster focus in team fights for Just Us guys. So they kind of had a rough go in the second half of that game. That really shows. Kelthais was 1-7 at one point, but finishes the game 8-7-12 on Victor.
He got camped real hard. Those early ganks. When you have Jarvan Lissandra too, there's just so much lockdown, and as Victor, you don't have much mobility, and they were definitely taking advantage of that. I wouldn't go to say that their lanes were getting smashed, though. I think a big contributing factor of the success for Indecision was we saw the Disc Kings using his TP very team-oriented.
Right. Because that's something we point out, for Just Us guys. They're kind of more solo-oriented, and that's what we saw in the early game, and it got them ahead, but not so much game 2, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I thought that was very crucial going into that game. But as far as game 1, it was Kelthais just got camped big time. They put him down. Bot lane and top lane, I don't know. From my perspective, I thought it went pretty even. They kept up. I'm a big tough guy, ended up getting huge, just sitting back farming. But overall, it was a very close game. Game 1, it was very back and forth. There was, I think it was one really decisive team fight. They overstayed, got kind of picked off. They picked up a couple of kill on towers. It was not the greatest decision by them, but Indecision cleaned up. But Kelthais has just shown he's very consistent in those team fights, and the early focus I felt in that game was not where it needed to be. I feel like mid lane, Kelthais is a good player. But he's not one of those guys who's looking to make flashy plays in lane. He doesn't go for kills unless he can. He plays very passive, farms. The rest of his team kind of just the ones who go ham. But he shows in team fights he comes up huge. And 1-7 to 8-7, he made a huge difference.
Absolutely, and it was the early aggression, the lockdown, but then late game they couldn't even get to him. He was just sitting in the back line with I'm a big tough guy, just teeing off. And I just want to point out as well something. One of the changes for Indecision was Weeblet going down to support. Now, he's been jungling, but he is originally a support main. He's very skilled, but he definitely looked a lot more comfortable back in his support role. I do want to say he's a good jungler, but sometimes he looks a little bit indecisive, just a little bit. But there was nothing like that this series. His bindings were on point. His black shields were keeping the carries safe. It was immaculate play by Weeblet. Do want to give him props in that. And DXI Edge coming in too. Coming from a coaching role, he gets to watch all these games, so he's kind of like a sixth member of this team, even when he's not playing. But coming in and playing as he did, that's really impressive as well.
Yeah. Now moving towards game 2, definitely wasn't as close. I'm not exactly sure what happened to them this game. They took away some of the bans. I know the Victor was taken away. Didn't give that away. They banned the Rek'Sai.
What happened in this game.
But they gave Kelthais Orianna. And this game was not very close. Go ahead. If you look like you want to say something.
So It wasn't as close, obviously, but pretty much Just Us guys went with what worked in game one, but what worked in game one didn't work late game for a reason. They didn't have enough damage coming from enough sources. They got shut down in the mid to late game. They didn't have a good enough team fight. And that's pretty much happened game one, but right from the start. So Athena picks Vi. He was really aggressive game one with Jarvan, and Vi is perfect champion if you want to go aggressive, but there's such a thing as over aggressiveness, and that's really what shot themselves in the foot kind of in game two. They were trying to make plays, they were forcing things. Ender never got ahead or was even really on this Anivia, kind of a weird pick. We've seen it a couple times. It worked out, but not the case this game. Talon really not even noticeable on Darius. Just never got a chance really. And the bot lane, Dr. McFly is a huge carry on this team, but once again, never got ahead. You're not going to do that against a strong bot lane like I'm Big Tough Guy and Weeblet.
They punished it very well, and the shockwaves coming up from Kel'Thuz's were pretty big too. He was very good at positioning those, and he usually could always catch out the carries, pulling them back in. I believe there was one point he solo killed Ender on that Anivia. They tried to, and
Yep.
that was another thing is we did see Athena very focused on the mid lane as well that game, but it wasn't as successful. I don't know if it was Kel'Thuz being a little more aware that they were trying to camp him, but he did very well. He kept composed. He just farmed, and then he ended up getting a solo kill. But I honestly contribute this factor. I think this meta is very top oriented, and I felt like Disc Kings had way more of an impact than Talon did, because through the both of the games, I believe they had 20 kills on the side of Just Us Guys. They had 20 kills, and out of those 20 kills, Talon was only a part of 6.
Yeah, you saw his stat line on Renekton in the first game, and it was 0-0-0 for quite a long time, whereas Disc Kings would have some kills and assists in there as well. Definitely, like you said earlier, more team-oriented with his TPs especially.
I'm not saying that Talon, yeah, and I agree. It's not saying that Talon didn't play well. I just felt like...
Oh, no, absolutely not, but he just didn't have an impact in the game, really, and that sounds bad, but he just wasn't there for most of the action come mid-game even.
And yeah, it was just those clutch TPs that I felt really kind of brought them in, especially in game one. I felt like that was the biggest factor. Game two, it was most of the lanes were pulling their own weight. They were doing a lot better. But that game one, I think that was the biggest impact in that series. But it was a very good pullback. I think Just Us Guys was swapping the roster a little bit. Besides game two, they looked a little stronger than they did last week in game one, even with putting Athena in the jungle and bringing Ender in. And I think Indecision also looked a lot stronger this week. I don't know if it was just kind of shaking off what happened last week, or maybe the roster change is what they needed, but they definitely looked a little more decisive in what they were trying to accomplish.
Absolutely, and I think some members were more comfortable. Weeblet obviously back in his main role. Still a great jungler, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to their old roster that we saw. Hot Dog McGee back at support, Weeblet back in the jungle, and Similidon back in the top lane. That's a really good roster, but I think just switching things up, a breath of fresh air, really allowed them to kind of get the monkey off their back a little bit, change things up a little bit, no pressure, and definitely showed up in this series.
Yeah, like as far as those two guys, I believe that puts Indecision tied for 3rd or 4th with that win. Just Us Guys drops down to 5th or 6th. I'll have to double check here. But as far as that, I think the game of the week so far was definitely Fellowship of the Nerds versus Thunder Ducks. We've seen Thunder Ducks pretty dominant throughout the entire series, and this is the first time we've actually seen them drop a game as they split 1-1 with Fellowship of the Nerds.
You know what, Dazaninator, I am honestly surprised that a team was able to take a game off of Thunder Ducks. They've been looking so strong. They still do have a couple tough opponents in Vicious and Delicious and Indecision in the last 2 weeks. So those are going to be really tough games for them. But I honestly wouldn't have been surprised if Thunder Ducks went undefeated. They were looking so dominant. But right off the bat, this one, Fellowship of the Nerds definitely showing up and taking a game off of Thunder Ducks. Definitely a big surprise there. But Fellowship showing up to this one ready to go.
And that was the thing. Game one, we questioned their team comp. We were like, okay, here's another protected carry team comp. They completely disassembled the last team that tried to pull it out. I think it was Land Before Time the week before. Tried to pull it out. They did. And it did not work. Metaphor got on that Rengar. He completely destroyed. And we're like, okay, they don't have the damage. Garen, he's a good juggernaut, but we didn't think he did enough damage. But I got to say, props to Fellowship of the Nerds. They ran that Lulu Garen comp very successfully, and it was very good at zoning out the rest of the team and allowing Baby Trog to really carry on that Jinx.
Yeah, honestly, we were really doubting the casters were this Garen pick early. We're like, oh, he doesn't offer enough in team fights. He's not sure he's huge in lane. He's hard to kill, but he doesn't offer enough. And boy, were we surprised. Come late game, no one could handle the Garen. Obviously, honestly, no one could kill him. With Pulsis only playing champions like Sivir and Ashe, Vayne is like the number one Garen killer. We haven't seen a single Vayne game from Pulsis this season. And honestly, Ravelo was a handful on that Garen. 8-3 and 11 by the end of the game. That was pretty scary stuff.
We haven't seen Pulsis play anything besides Sivir or Ashe.
Yeah, absolutely. He's an enabler.
But that's the thing. It's like we've talked about this. They play their roles, and he successfully does what he needs to do for his team. He gives the kills over to the carries. He puts it on Metaphor and Taeyang. Those guys are picking up, and I think it was like you were saying that Taeyang actually has the most kills in the season so far.
Most kills in SKLeague so far.
And he definitely is carry. He's a very deadly on the Orianna. But game one, I don't care what anyone says. That Chosgood's Bard is incredible. Those Temper Fates he had.
It's banned most
times. They finally banned it that second game. But those Bard ultis that he had were phenomenal. I honestly thought they were game changers. Like, it was huge. They would always try and engage. He'd use it, disengage, turn around, and go straight back in.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we were thinking of, like, look at this comp and immediately think, oh, it's a Protect the Baby Trog comp, which it very much was. But in their own right, Jay Frazier and Bosgood did work in the game one. Jay Frazier still pumping out a lot of damage, even just going 3 and 15. But he was keeping Baby Trog alive. He was enabling his own team. So definitely can't sleep on Bosgood on the Gragas either. Definitely huge explosive cast in that game. Probably some of the top plays in that game were just beautiful team fights, beautiful explosive casks to set up a beautiful team fight. Baby Trog just doing work, and Chazga doing his thing on Bard. So that was really impressive by Fellowship of the Nerds.
Yeah, that was the game, I believe, where we had that one fight where Jinx was kind of just standing there throwing rockets, ended up picking that dirty Quadra. They just grouped and just pow, pow, pow. It was pretty sick. Yeah, it was good. But game two, we saw Thunderducks took a bit of a time off. Reek kind of pulled themselves together, brought out this super ham comp, and definitely defended their honor, showing that they were not to be messed with.
Yeah, honestly, not a huge fan of their pick ban game one. Taeyang, really good on Orianna, but not totally sold on the Kazakhs pick for Metaphor. That's a super aggressive jungler, but it's probably not what they needed in that kind of composition. Couldn't really do much, especially since he wasn't able to get ahead. Not able to one-shot anyone. Kazakhs definitely not the best when you're behind. So, and Panda is another thing we have to look at from game one. Totally got shut down. But as we're about to allude to, not so much the story in game two.
I got to say that Riven was completely disgusting, but MVP of that game definitely goes to Taeyang. Those Ahri plays were clutch.
The thing about game two was no one could get to Taeyang on Ahri. Sure, they were able to shut down Pulsis. They were able to kill Metaphor a few times come the mid game. Even Panda wasn't too far ahead in the mid game. I think it was Ponox that noted that Panda's kind of score line totally crept up on us. He was like 3-3. He was like 2-3. He wasn't doing much. And then all of a sudden he was like 7-3. So he exploded, but Taeyang, no one could get to him. He would hold on to his Spirit Rush until the very end of the fight when there was just 3 members or so left, and he just went ham. And he was definitely the MVP of game two.
But props to Pulsis. He actually landed a lot of really great arrows to get the engage. And that was the one thing I know you and me have talked a lot about is these players who pick Ashe having to be comfortable and confident, because landing those arrows is huge. That's one of the greatest ways to engage is that long-range arrow. And he kept catching Chosgood of all people, which is probably beautiful for what their comp was. She just has so much disengage. You pop her first before she gets a lot of her spells off. Pretty much allows Panda on that Riven and Taeyang and Ahri to free roam, just run through there, and Metaphor just completely flanking every time with that Evelyn.
Well, it helps that Chosgood is building pretty much full damage on the Zyra as well, picking up the Leandri's Torment on top of the Sork boots and the Blasting Wand and Amptome in her inventory at the end of there. So definitely got to watch out for that Zyra pick. I know one of the casters, Crafty Buckeye, this Zyra main, definitely can attest to that. But I feel like Fellowship of the Nerds pretty much went for pretty much the same comp. They swapped out the Shen for the Garen and a different support and a different hyper carry. So still like a protect the baby trog comp, but they just got pretty much rolled in every lane except for bot lane.
I did like the Shen pickup over the Garen. I mean, not that the Garen did work, like hands down. I stood corrected at the end of that game, but I do like the Shen. It's especially with the mobility that Tristana has with the jump compared to just the get excited with Jinx when you get the kill. You're able to make it a lot harder to get to you. You have that shield on top of yourself with the Shen ulti, but it didn't really matter. They had so much damage. They were getting the picks they needed. They were killing the targets they needed. There's lots of times they actually killed Jay Frazier before he was even able to ult. And
Absolutely.
charms were a big part of that. But there was the first time we've ever seen kind of Thunderducks falter, but I feel like it was their own. It was, I don't want to say it was ignorance in Champ Select, but maybe going with like, okay, yeah, Metaphor can play this. Like he's pretty much played anything uncontested. But I think Fellowship of the Nerds was the first one to really exploit that weakness and put him on a champion that we haven't really seen him carry very hard on. And I feel like with Kha'Zix not being in the meta, they definitely caught them off guard.
Yeah, definitely. I think Fellowship of the Nerds really has been sort of an underdog, but that's kind of unwarranted. They've always been a strong, all-around good team. Definitely rolling through Baby Trog most of the time, but I think maybe a little bit of underestimation in the first game, but definitely showing their stuff in the second game for Thunder Ducks. So I don't think we can sleep too much on Fellowship of the Nerds. They're a really strong team, and I think they deserve a little bit more respect. And I think that's gonna get them more respect after this win over Thunder Ducks.
Well, especially with that win, actually, it does put them in third place, which has Thunder Ducks tied for first with the winners of our games yesterday between Land Before Time and Vicious and Delicious. Vicious and Delicious coming out strong again, and this was one thing. These games were what I was really confused about. I know you can talk about it. Land Before Time played not too bad against Thunder Ducks, actually. I thought Thunder Ducks and Land Before Time game 2 in week 2 was very well played, but this week, their pick and ban was not very good, but they also did lose 2 bans in that first game.
Honestly, their pick ban wasn't terrible. They just didn't play against the comp that Vicious and Delicious brought out, like, at all. It was not very good. So I guess we better go over this, I guess, if you guys can't see what we're seeing right now. So basically, Vicious and Delicious ran the Mordekaiser comp 2 games in a row. The first game, they took Mordekaiser and Blitzcrank in the bot lane, which is an excellent synergy we'll talk about in a little second. Bakery Boy on AP Kog'Maw in the mid lane, to Freakers playing Gragas in the jungle, and Poof the Sheep on Gnar in the top lane. Now, the comp for Land Before Time wasn't that bad. It was Caladir on Irelia, Cletus, Cassidy on Rek'Sai, Unfriendly back on Azizir, Shrew, Rice, and Sharptooth on Jinx and Braum. So you look at that, and the start of the game, Dazaninator, we looked at that and we said, the Land Before Time has a pretty good comp, and if the Mord doesn't get rolling, they can win this game pretty handedly.
Personally, they do. They have a decent comp going against a Mordekaiser, and I do like the Jinx pick into Mordekaiser. I feel like she's one champion that can really go like scale with him as well. But the problem is you have this synergy between Blitzcrank and Mordekaiser, and Blitzcrank and Mordekaiser and Thresh Mordekaiser are probably the scariest lane that you can have in bot lane right now, personally.
Absolutely. So the way that they would run this bot lane is formerly on the Mordekaiser would prep his Mace of Spades. That's the one where he gets 1 auto, 2 auto, 3, third one is empowered. The more you go towards the third one, the more
normal
damage.
times 3 and then times 9 for that third hit.
Yeah, so that's a lot of damage. So formerly would prep this Mace of Spades, and then Mo Money would go for the grab. And actually, the first couple of times they went for this grab, they missed, and then they kind of got bullied by True Rice and Sharptooth, which was pretty much how the lane has to go. If you don't get a grab, you're not going to get any kills. Mordekaiser's not going to be able to get onto anyone. But then Mo Money decided to take off the blindfold and started hitting everything.
That's the thing. Blitzcrank is such a weird champion. I feel like if you don't enable the Blitzcrank in lane, if he's not landing hooks, it's pretty much a garbage pick. Because if you don't do anything in lane, he's not that great of a champion. It's very reliant on how well you can land hooks. Even though it's only one ability in your kit, it's pretty important. It's entirely your engage, and it's the way that he pulls Jinx towards Mordekaiser, ensuring he gets all that damage down. And he was landing them left and right. Like, they were blowing flashes consistently.
Yeah, it was disgusting. So another thing I also want to point out, just with the mid lane pick, actually, with the Mord comp, I think that's genius to go with AP Cog. A lot of people talk about, so you have Mordekaiser in the bot lane. It's good to pick like Corki in the mid lane or Varus. Get kind of that missing piece, which is like the ADC, kind of more late game scaling. But nothing scales better late game than AP Cog. And even if Formerly didn't get ahead, Bakery Boy was disgusting on AP Kog'Maw.
But that's the thing. I don't think I agree with you. I don't think it's necessarily you need an AD carry type deal with the core
You just
team.
need something that can scale.
You need something that scales and that has range. And like you said, I don't think anything scales better than AP Kog'Maw. It's gross. And I believe this is almost the exact comp they ran last week against Indecision when they had Mordekaiser. Except I don't think they had the Blitzcrank. I think they had the Thresh last time.
Right.
Or no, it was Blitz. I stand corrected. It was Blitzcrank. But that it was gross and it was great. But see, going into game 2, I feel like the bans on the side of Land Before Time were not the greatest. They targeted the Kog'Maw and then they targeted the Blitzcrank. They left the Mordekaiser open, which really baffled me. I feel like that was, if you're gonna try and ban out that comp, ban out the champion you're building the comp around, not the components of that composition.
Yeah. So if you're gonna ban the Blitz, that's trying to take away from the Mord, but because that's pretty much the only time we see Blitz nowadays, right? Is with the Mord. So just banning Mord would have been better because without Mord, they're not going to play Blitz anyways. But if you ban just Blitz, they have Alistar, they have Thresh, they have all these options, and they went with the Alistar game too.
And I don't mind the Alistar comp. I think like if they didn't want to do the hook, that Leona is a lot stronger in the engage department. You're able to lock someone down a lot longer. Mm-hmm. But the Alistar is good for peeling. He's got the sustain to help you out. The Headbutt Pulve is still a very underestimated combo. Keep them in the air and stun for a while. It's pretty easy to get at least 2 autos in.
Right, or even a Flash Pulve and then headbutt him right back into Formerly on the Mordekaiser. That's still something that we saw a couple times.
Yeah, Money was really good at doing that combo. Mm-hmm. And once I got that damage down, and instead of going with the AP Cog, they replace it with Azir, which I also think is a very strong, long range, very good scaling AP champion that you can consistently poke down with. And if you get the Shurima Shuffle, you're knocking everyone into your Mordekaiser, who benefits. You build the more damage you deal out around you, the faster you build up that shield. So putting people in the range of your Mordekaiser is so important. And they just ran the same comp and they pretty much stomped once again. Neither of the game I would say were necessarily close.
Yeah, no. One thing we had to point out from game 1 was Caladir actually going ahead on Bakery or Poof the Sheep pretty much the whole game. That's something we didn't really expect. Caladir is still really strong, but Poof the Sheep coming to this one is regarded by his own team and by a couple other teams as one of the strongest top laners. And Caladir definitely took a chunk out of him game 1 and even kept him down game 2 for the most part, but then eventually Gangplank's going to get some kills later. So
that comp though, the first game I would say Irelia versus Gnar is a very favorable match for Irelia. Not taking away from Caladir at all. I'm not saying he's not a player, but I feel like that is a very favorable matchup. But I would say both games, I don't know. Land Before Time seems wildly inconsistent. There's games where they look super strong. They have a really good laning phase. Like their bot lane is incredibly strong. True Rice and Sharptooth have shown that they can pretty much single-handedly throw the team on their back and carry. But they seem to get these really good leads early game, but they never snowball it. They either start falling behind. I think that's what happened with them versus Thunderducks the week before.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just a little bit of inconsistency in the top half of the map. You see Unfriendly Panda make some huge plays for his team and can turn team fights on champions like Azir and Victor and stuff, but not seeing it pretty much at all this series. Same with Cletus. Does like to be aggressive early game, likes to play Evelynn, which was open, but opting for Rek'Sai and Sejuani. And Caladir, good game 1, not so game 2. So a little bit inconsistency in the top half, I think, is what plagues Land Before Time a little bit more than other things.
And unfortunately, didn't get to see the rematch between Team Dignitas and Notice Me Senpai. Kind of a 2-0 going over to Notice Me Senpai. Unfortunately, so I was almost ready to just jump in and sub for him. Throw me in the jungle. But, rules are rules. That's what we got the subs in place for. But as far as those teams go, Notice Me Senpai I thought looked pretty strong last week and the week before. They are a highly aggressive team, and I love the way they team fight. Team Dignitas the week before we saw struggle against Just Us Guys. They had a really, really big lead in game 1 versus them and kind of threw it. So I think they still have a lot of growing to do, but hopefully come next week we'll see a lot stronger Team Dignitas.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? Since they're not playing, everyone gets to watch us dazzle. They get to hear us talk and
Get to see
listen
our
to our
beautiful
beautiful
mugs.
voice. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't go as far as calling me have a voice of an angel or anything, but
But pretty close, hey?
right, pretty close, pretty
Right,
close.
right,
So,
right.
but yeah, so I guess the next week, we can quickly just dabble in these matches here. We've
Mhm.
got Team Dignitas versus Indecision Game 1. That's on Monday. Then
Mhm.
we have Thunder Ducks versus Just Us Guys Tuesday. Land Before Time versus Notice Me Senpai on Wednesday. And Thursday, we have Fellowship of the Nerds versus Vicious and Delicious. Silky, what do you see coming for next week?
Honestly, a couple good games, a couple that maybe favored to one side. I think the last half of the week is going to be pretty hype, depending on how some of the teams play. But let's just go down the. Should we do some predictions? Does that idea? Should we do
All
some
right, you know
predictions?
what? We can rifle through it and talk about.
All right, we'll do some predictions. Okay, so we start the week off with the Team Dignitas versus Indecision.
Yeah.
Just on paper and just looking at the standings, you want to give the favor to Indecision. Team Dignitas can show up, and they can. I think it heavily depends on pick ban for Team Dignitas. But you know what? Indecision's looked a little shaky, but I'm gonna give the edge to Indecision in this one 2-0, but I think one of the games is gonna be very close. That's my prediction.
I'm going to agree with you. I think it'll be 2-0 Indecision. I think Team Dignitas has a lot of room to grow, but
Mhm.
I'm not really sure if they've hit that. They've shown they can lane quite well, but I feel like it's their mid game where they really fall apart. They kind of just
Yeah,
go too aggressive. They don't have the greatest ward control, so they kind of walk in blindly to bad situations. So I feel like if they just start slowly growing, I feel like by the end of the season, they might be able to start taking games off these bigger teams. But right now, I don't feel like they're in a good spot. So I'm gonna say 2-0 Indecision as well.
yeah. Team Dignitas looking good early, but not so much late. So we got Thunder Ducks versus Just Us Guys on the 29th. Now, once again, Thunder Ducks dominant, really, really dominant. Probably one of the best teams in the league. Just Us Guys consistent, but I once again am gonna have to give this one to the heavy favorites, Thunder Ducks. I think it's gonna be a 2-0. Just as guys have a lot of good players, but I just don't think they bring it together as well as other teams, and definitely not Thunder Ducks.
I think I'm with you. I believe Thunder Ducks will 2-0, but I think the matches will be a lot closer than we're expecting. As far
Just as
I
guys,
I think
yeah,
Justice guys look better. Like I feel like they were just on full tilt game 2. I honestly believe it was just full tilt.
yeah, yeah, they had a bit of a blinders on game 2 this week, but they have like I said, they have really good players and they play solidly in lane, but then as a conglomerate, just not as cohesive as some of the other teams.
To
So I'm
me
gonna
though,
give 2-0 to Thunder Ducks.
to me, I think the big thing to watch is Athena versus Metaphor because I think Athena's jungling style and how aggressive and how often he ganks is going to make a huge impact because I don't think any other jungler has been aggressive as Metaphor and Athena have been so far, and that's where the success from Thunderducks comes from is Metaphor gets all those lanes going early. He ganks quite often and gets them rolling, and I feel like Athena does the same thing.
Right.
So I think that's going to be a big factor into how well Justice Skies do, and I honestly think there'll be a lot closer games than we're expecting. But in the end, I think Thunderducks will pull it through.
I think so too. Okay, so the 30th, that is the Wednesday, we have Land Before Time versus Notice Me Senpai. Now, this is the first out of the two matches I think we're really, really going to have to look out for. That might be kind of going either way. If Land Before Time shows up, I think Notice Me Senpai has their work cut out for them.
I think that'll be pretty good. I think there'll be a lot of bloodshed.
Mm-hmm.
Notice Me Senpai. I think this will go 1-1. I think a lot of people can exploit how aggressive Notice Me Senpai plays.
Do you think Hannah Petrell's going to play Kennen?
Possibly. He's got a pretty big arsenal. Did he not whip out Annie mid last week?
He did pull Danny and the Kennen last week. That was pretty dangerous. So.
He played. They're just a very aggressive team, and they like to team fight, mostly because they have to be the highest skilled team as a whole. I would say as an average package,
Mm-hmm.
but their team fighting skill is very strong.
It's a little inconsistent as well, though.
But
We
that's the
kind
thing.
of see hit or miss, but
That's what I mean. I feel like someone's gonna. They can exploit that over aggression And I could see if Land Before Time is on their game, they'll be able to pull the 1-1. So I'm gonna go 1-1 in that series. I think Land Before Time can pull one out of the hat and find that over aggression. But I feel like Notice Me Senpai will definitely pick up a game in that series.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I'll agree with that. I'm gonna say 1-1 as well. If Land Before Time really shows up, I think they can take one off Notice Me Senpai. Now the last game, this is gonna be
I think
an
this game. I
interesting
think this
game.
would be gay. I think this will be the best series of the week.
I think
Personally,
so too. It's close between Land Before Time and Notice Me Senpai. Of course, there could be some upsets and stuff earlier in the week that could prove us wrong. But just looking at this, I think this is the great match to end the week off.
I don't.
Fellowship of the
I
Nerds
don't know how to
versus-
call this one. I don't know how to call this one. I like the performance that Fellowship of the Nerds had this week was very impressive. They
Mhm.
clearly can show that they can work with team comps. We've seen Vicious and Delicious play a lot of different team comps as well.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna say 1-1. Honestly, I think teams have a problem so far in SKL with inconsistency, and I think Fellowship of the Nerds can fall under that bracket a little bit. Their game 2 against Thunderducks was not very characteristic of those guys. They showed what they can do in game 1, and then it was like a total 360 game 2. So it's going to be tough. If both teams show up, it's going to be very close.
I am gonna be bold, and I'm gonna say 2-0 Vicious and Delicious. I think Vicious and Delicious has shown that they're a little more flexible with their picks and their team comps.
Do they ban the Mord? Fellowship, rather? Does
I don't
Fellowship
know.
ban the Mord?
I don't know. I don't know. Are they gonna be able to
I,
deal with it?
I think
Regardless if
you
they
ban
do,
it.
I feel like I formerly had a bit of a tough week in his first week. I felt we kind of were like, okay, these arrows need to land in that second game versus Notice Me Senpai. But he
Mhm.
looked a lot better these last 2 weeks. He's looked a lot more comfortable.
It was like night and day.
Yeah, and I think that they're a little more flexible with their picks, and I feel like that's going to be advantageous going into pick ban.
Hmm.
You're going to have a lot more at your disposal instead
Right.
of just going in. All right, baby Trog, we protect this guy. Let's go. Because
Mhm.
honestly, that's a lot of what Fellowship of the Nerds is doing. Not saying they can't play, because I know Jay Frazier was a big RE player and they took it away from him this week. But
Right.
honestly, I am going to go 2-0 Vicious and Delicious. I think their flexibility so far is going to prove worthy.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think so too. But I'm gonna call 1-1. I think Fellowship shows up. They can take one off of Vicious and Delicious. If they can take one off of Thunderducks, I think they can take one off of anyone. But they might need a favorable pick ban for that to happen. So I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say 1-1. But wouldn't be surprised with the 2-0 from Vicious and Delicious as well.
All right, I can respect that for sure.
I try to give respect where it's due. Try
Hey,
not to.
hey, I'm not taking anything away.
Oh yeah.
I think they'll be good games. Like I honestly think those will be really, really close games. But
Mhm.
I gotta give the advantage to Vicious and Delicious.
Right.
All right, as far I mean that's about what we have for SKL this week. But I figured we'd talk a little bit about the whole meta. We're finally on 5.18. This is the patch Worlds is being played on.
Hmm.
There's been a lot of changes, so I figured why not talk about it a bit. So Silky, what are you seeing that's kind of coming into favor right now with this new patch coming up?
Well, it's actually too bad. We're gonna talk about this in later weeks, but I'm just so curious about this. I know this isn't like brand new with 5.18, but we have literally only seen Braum and Alistar. So we have to pick the brain of one of the supports on one of the teams. Why that's so? But 5.18 just kind of wrapping everything up for Worlds, right? So they don't want anything too huge. Couple buffs here and there, just tweaking some stuff. Nivea got a slight buff, quality buff. Nothing's really sticking out to me too much, Dazaninator. How about yourself? Actually,
I gotta say, Assassins are back.
I take that back. Assassins are back. I'm just about to get to that. But I think this is just like a sleeper little insight here into Worlds. I think we're going to see a lot of Caitlyn with this trap buff. It's not that huge, but honestly, with the way things are going, I think I can see some Caitlyn. But once again, that could change if the Assassins really do come back.
I agree with you. I know we talked about this. I personally think Caitlyn's a stupid champion. I hate it. I hate watching it. It's so boring. If any champion in this bloody game is more annoying than Caitlyn, please feel free to tell me. Maybe I'm biased because I'm an 80 carry main, but I just feel like this champion is just the stupidest range. It's just, but I could see it. I don't know if it'll be as popular though. Caitlyn's mid game hasn't been fixed. Like Caitlyn's strong in laning phase. If you go even with Caitlyn and you
You
outscale her,
won.
she's screwed. You
Yeah.
won because she sucks mid game. Well, not sucks, but she's not as useful as other AD carries. I think we're gonna see a lot of Kog'Maw. We're seeing a lot of Trist. We're seeing a lot of Vayne. Those are still very popular picks, and I feel like Caitlyn can punish Vayne big time. But
Absolutely.
I think with the hyper carry meta, I don't know if we're gonna see her come in as much
Right.
because of that mid game lull that she has. I mean, Vayne, you hit 2 items, GG, you're full build.
Right. Caitlyn does stomp on Vayne in lane. Just the range is just ridiculous. But the main counter to Caitlyn was Sivir, and she's been pretty much nerfed to the ground. So the only reason I say that we might see Caitlyn is a couple of things are falling in place for the Piltover chief there. So that might come back. But a couple other things I also want to look at in the 5.18 Dazaninator. We're talking about the assassin meta, and no champion I hate more right now than Fiora. And all she's getting is a couple like base armor, base health nerfs, and that's not even like that huge.
I know. I agree. I don't. Okay,
Like
they
base
need to
armor going
fix her.
down 3.
I think they need to fix her base stats, but I don't think it's her armor and her health that needs to be touched. This champion does a ridiculous amount of true damage
And healing and damage
yeah,
and burst
like
and ability.
fix the things that need to be fixed. She's broken. Come on, Ryan. But like I think the juggernauts. I think Darius and Fiora out of all the juggernauts are probably going to see the most pick. In Worlds. I don't think Mordekaiser is going to be as prioritized as it is in solo queue.
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of ways that pros are going to be able to play around it. But I think Fiora and Darius are going to be pretty fairly popular picks in the meta, especially in competitive play.
I think Darius has been just spamming that Darius, and apparently he's pretty good on it. So maybe TSM will be able to make it out of groups if Darius.
Well, we'll leave that till later. I don't want to, expand myself too early with this situation, but
don't want to spread ourselves too thin.
No, exactly. But I mean, they did buff Ezreal a little bit. I don't know if he'll be as popular. I don't think he's ever been out of favor, but he doesn't quite have the more consistent damage that other AD carries have.
Right. Well, every time Worlds rolls around, we seem to somehow find ourselves seeing ADCs pick up likes of Corki, Ezreal, stuff like that. Ezreal in the mid lane was popular. I know this season, not so much now, but we could see it. Honestly, this is actually kind of a huge buff. 0.5 bonus attack damage scaling on the Arcane Shift. That's pretty big. That's not nothing to sleep on, and it definitely helps him out a little bit. Not sure if it's going to make him OP, but it might make him a little bit more viable.
Okay, I don't know if it does make him more viable or OP. I agree that the buff is good. I don't think it's going to be like, oh yeah, man, Ezreal's good now because your E is your escape tool. If you're using that, because it's okay, especially early laning phase. If you use that, it takes a lot of mana, and it's got a fairly decent cooldown early on.
Honestly, I know there's a thread on Reddit right now, but if they really want to make Ezreal like a competitive pick or more viable, I know he was competitive, but something with his W to be done. I know there's a thread on Reddit about that right now, but we don't want to get too much into theory crafting, so we might see a little bit of Ezreal. He's safe, he can build in blue Ez, can kite really well. So if off tanks are a thing, off tanks, Darius and Garen are really susceptible to being kited, and nothing kites better than blue Ezreal.
Okay, with this, okay, while we're on the topic of AD carries in this meta, I honestly think Graves is going to come back. I talked to you about this last night. I think Graves, the reason Graves fell out of meta is because all these tanky bruisers came out, and Graves is so bursty. He's not one of those pow, 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 like you're just hitting your head against a brick wall.
He's a boom.
Yeah, and I mean he's very good at going against assassins. You have your passive that after you been in combat for 10 seconds consistently or auto
tanky. Yeah, you're tanky.
You get tanky. It helps you survive the burst that they're gonna. Plus, you can throw it back in their face. You get a buckshot and your collateral damage off. Like you can blow up a lot of targets, and it's really good. So I think we're gonna see. I would like to see Graves come back. I don't know if he's as viable as like I know earlier in Spring Split he was very popular. There's a lot of teams picking him up, but I think. As far as AD carries, I honestly think we're going to stick to the trinity of Tristana, Vayne, and Kog'Maw. I think Jinx will also be played because Jinx is just Jinx, like good hyper carry. But Caitlyn, a possibility. Graves, I wouldn't mind seeing. I mean, personally, Draven would be sick. I think he's.
Did you throw Corki in there? It's Worlds.
Okay, you know what? Okay, it is Worlds. It is Worlds, but I don't think Corki is a the viable pick right now.
You never know if they
Someone's gonna play him, though.
if they decide to target ADCs one game, which we see in competitive from time to time. If they think they need to ban Vayne and Jinx or whatever, we could see Corki come out. You never know.
I could see Corki coming out only to equalize damage. I mean, with the assassins, if people are running the double AD to spread it thin, get a little more AP, I can see Corki being played.
I was really scanning this patch notes, and no Corki in here. Usually buffed before Worlds, but none of that this year.
Nothing. Nada.
They actually right across the board nerfed the Juggernauts slightly. They didn't even. It wasn't huge. I think Riot really wants to see these guys at Worlds because it honestly wasn't that bad. All these nerfs, base stat stuff to Fiora, base stat stuff to Mord, kind of affected his healing. Lulu, bit of a nerf, just base stat.
Okay, so I want to talk about Lulu. I honestly think Lulu is going to be the most contested pick at Worlds.
It's going to be pick ban, 100% pick ban.
It's just so strong. Okay, two things why I think Lulu is ridiculously strong. You have the assassin meta coming in. Lulu is very good against them. You have that wild growth, and it keeps yourself alive, keeps your teammates alive through those giant bursts, especially like Zed ultis, talents, stuff like that. Very good. Farms very well, has range, does a decent amount of damage. I mean,
Lulu was terrible in the tank, Cinderhawk meta. Doesn't do well against tanks at all. Protecting someone for 3 seconds doesn't do anything if a tank's going to kill you over 10 seconds. So that's why we didn't see Lulu, and all of a sudden, boom, Cinderhawk nerfed, boom, all the Cinderhawk champions nerfed, and we see Juggernauts, and now Lulu. And it's gross.
No, yeah, and also because these hyper carries are so popular. Like, Vayne is popping up everywhere. I mean, not only are you going to do well against assassins, you're also going to be able to keep those hyper carries who are going to carry you late game. You shield them, you speed them up, you give them
buff them up.
Health. Like, I honestly think that Lulu is going to be the most disgusting champion towards Worlds, and it's going to be pick or ban.
100% pick ban, absolutely. Do you think we're getting to the bottom of our list of the patch notes here, but do you think Mordekaiser is going to be played? What percentage of the games do you think Mordekaiser is going to be played?
Okay, I don't think we're going to see much more. See, that isn't fair. I don't know. Mordekaiser such okay. One, Mordekaiser came out after a majority of the playoffs were done. We didn't see him available really during anyone's playoffs. So we haven't seen him in competitive play. So I know a lot of people are playing him in solo queue, like the pros and stuff. But
I think just for that reason, especially, people are going to be playing it.
I could see him coming in groups, but going into those best of fives, maybe as a cheese pick, like I can see Pain Gaming whipping it out. But no, honestly, like he's strong in solo queue, but I think as a team, in a team environment, I don't know if Mordekaiser's as good as your additional AD carries.
I'm going to be bold. In the group stages alone, this is bold, I think, for as much as I don't think we're going to see much more, I agree, but I'm going to be bold and say it's going to be played in 3 games in the group stages. That's pretty bold considering the amount of games going on. That's actually a little bit less. Actually, no, I'm going to be more bold. I'm going to say like upwards of like 6.
You're going to say 6 games?
6 games out of the entirety of group stages, there's going to be a Mord.
I would not be surprised if we saw him, but I don't think we're going to see an abundance of Mord. I honestly don't.
No, definitely not. But still something to look out for. Someone's going to bring it out. If TSM's 05 like they're going to be, Game 6, bring it out, baby.
Why you got to make shots like that right now?
Sorry, man.
I mean, and then so as far as champions, I mean, we saw Devourer get nerfed a little bit. They reduced the magic stacking, the damage it does. See Devourer damage on hit. That got hit a little bit. Buffed enchantment for Warrior. My favorite item, Harbinger, took a little bit of a nerf. Just reduced the armor, but the charge up duration doesn't take as long, so that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as that, I don't think there's much. I think we're going to see a lot more assassins coming in. I wouldn't be surprised to see stuff like Lissandra, Zed, Yasuo. I mean, we see Yasuo.
LeBlanc's going to come back really hard. That's what I'm gonna say. It's not too bold because she's any sort of assassin meta comes back. LeBlanc's usually at the forefront of that.
And honestly, I don't even think competitive, but I think even just in solo queue right now because the assassin meta is big. Like I honestly think Lissandra and LeBlanc are very underutilized champions.
It's an exciting time to be alive, Dazaninator.
Oh, not as an AD carry main. Shut up. Get out of here. But
okay, life's never good as an AD carry main.
Yeah, we're not going to touch this one. Okay. All right.
Tom,
you know what?
Tom Kench quality of life buffs. Tom Kench.
That's a stupid champion. Let's not even talk about this.
We're not going to see a single. My next bold prediction is we're not going to see a single Tom Kench.
Oh, we will. 100%. I think we're going to see somebody pull up
Pain
unbench the Kench and throw him in the top lane.
Someone will bring it top. I don't think we'll see it support, but top lane could be very viable.
Someone will do it. I promise you.
It's bold of me to say that it won't be played. Twitch, a little bit of a buff actually, and that's another champion that tends to creep back. We saw obviously Samsung White play it quite a bit.
Well, let's be. Hold on. Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but like Imp still plays that champion. They've still banned it against him, so I can see him playing that, and it's still a very good team fight champion.
Yeah, and it's just his ambush, his stealth, got slightly buffed. So while you're trying to stealth, but you're taking damage, it takes 6 seconds. But now down to 4.5. That's quite a bit. 1.5 seconds in league time. It's pretty huge. Oh god.
But
Vigor buffs.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, okay. I guess we kind of ran through this meta, what kind of we should expect to see. I'm just gonna say, while we're on the topic of Worlds, you want to run through the brackets? You want to give me your predictions?
Oh shoot, I have to bring it up.
I got this memorized. Don't worry. I got to get that championship ribbon skin from the Pick'ems.
I'm pretty sure I can say it from memory, but just in case I screw up.
All right, so Group A. We'll run over Group A. So Group A, we've got CLG, Q Tigers, Flash Wolves, and Pain Gaming.
Everyone knows this group. Okay.
It's got to be the easiest.
Do you want me to start? No, you start.
You start. I want you to start.
Okay. So I have faith, and I believe that my faith will be rewarded with a first place finish in Group A for CLG. I'm not a huge CLG fan, but I think honestly, Q Tigers not the most consistent, still good, but CLG is going to take this one. They're looking solid. Afro Moo, the double lift, Zion Sport. Their roster is so solid. Powilter, they're one maybe inconsistencies in the jungle, but I'm going to take CLG going first out of Group A. I'm going to take Q going second. No surprise, we can go Flash Wolves third, Pain Gaming fourth.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Personally, I agree with you. I think CLG will go first. Q Tiger is wildly inconsistent. I think if the way CLG is playing, well, they were playing. We only got to see them play 3 games. They dismantled TSM. It was gross. They look strong. It was like the first time I'm like, dang, like look at CLG go. They look good. So I think they're gonna put up an impressive go on the stage. They'll do very well. But second place, I think Flash Wolves could probably go on as well. I think you laugh at me, but I honestly think that region is very underestimated. Q Tigers most likely will, but I think Pain Gaming has a chance for third place. CLG. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna say CLG, Q Tigers, Pain Gaming, Flash Wolves. I think if anything, I think Pain Gaming is gonna be my dark horse of the entire tournament, and I think they're gonna pick up more wins than people will give them credit for.
They do have some good players, but I'm not sure if they can bring it out. So so very similar predictions by me and you on Group A. Now Group B, not the toughest group either. I think Group A and Group B, there's very little room for kind of switching those up.
Okay, Group B, we've got what? IG, Fnatic,
AHQ, and Cloud9.
HQ and Cloud9. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to go first. I know Ponox is watching. There is no way Cloud9 is not going to get anywhere out of 4th place. They're staying there. I cannot see C9 doing anything. I'm sorry. High is a great shot caller, but he's against he's against unreal junglers. I don't see him coming out of there. He's
not. They're not going to get a win. Yeah. No.
He's going to get completely out pressure. There's just no way you're going to pull yourself out of that jungle. IG is nuts. Okay, Reignover's not the strongest, but I feel like in team-wise, Fnatic is too good. Invictus Gaming is insane at team fighting. And AHQ, I guess I haven't really seen them play much. I haven't watched them much. I don't know really how strong they are right now. People are saying the LMS region is a lot stronger than it has been. They put up a pretty good performance at the MSI, so I don't know. I think Fnatic will take first in this group.
Yeah, absolutely. Fnatic, Invictus, HQ, Cloud9, pretty much. I think most of the world would agree with us on those ones.
Yeah, I'm honestly gonna say Fnatic is first. I'm gonna say Invictus second, HQ, C9. That's how the bracket's going. I would say it's gonna be a lot closer for first place between Fnatic and IG. I think those are gonna be some of the best games to watch. I'm so excited for Fnatic to play these Chinese teams because it's just gonna be a complete bloodbath. Mm-hmm. So I think Fnatic, IG, I think they'll go to a tiebreaker for first, but I think Fnatic's going to go first, IG second, AHQ C9. I can't see C9 pulling out a lot of wins.
Right. Yeah, no argument there. And now Group C, we've got SKT, Edward Gaming, Bangkok Titans, H2K. I don't think that was the order that they were drawn in. I think they're drawn SKT, Edward, HK, Bangkok. I think, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's do we really need to talk about this bracket?
No, because it's going to stay in that order. I think SKT T1, just too damn good. Edward Gaming, going to be very strong. Maybe even give SKT a run for their money. But solid second place. H2K, I think, is going to be better than Bangkok Titans. I think H2K is really good if they play like it. If not, then they definitely can go fourth. But I think H2K will get third in this pool.
The only thing I want to watch in that pool is Rio versus Faker and Pawn versus Faker. That's it. And everything else can just, I don't really care.
Unfortunately, there's no Zed versus Zed, but that would have been hype.
Yeah,
so who picks it first?
No, they already said. What are you talking about? H2K already said they will have 100% first pick Zed against SKT. And honestly,
really?
Yeah, and probably is totally going to follow that up. There's no way they'd even troll that. They will. H2K is a realistic kind of people. They'll do it. They'll do it. They're like, all right, we got to do it. We said we'd do it. We're up against SKT. Why not?
They're in a tough group. Might as well do it.
All right, Group D. I'm gonna let you. You're gonna talk. I'm gonna let you have the floor first. I'll let you give it. So Group D, we've got LGD, we've got KT Rolster, we've got TSM, and we've got Origin.
LGD, huh? Well, you know what? This one, a lot of people are kind of crazy about. I think it's not as close as it seems. It's a group of death, but only from some perspectives. If you're looking to be LGD and KT, I think it's not that close. I think LGD is going to go first in this pool. Very strong team. KT Rolster, I don't think they're that good. Honestly, they're great, but I don't think they're LGD great. Team Solo Mid, this is being really generous, and I change this pick every day. I think they're going to go third as of right now. Tomorrow, probably change that.
Wow, whoa, what?
Yeah, I know. Probably, don't worry, Dazaninator, I'll probably switch back. Origin fourth in this pool. I think it is truly the group of death, but honestly, I think it's not as close as people might think.
All right, I am with you 100%. LGD is not going to be touched in this group. I think LGD is a pretty solid world champ contender. I think they'll make it a long way. They're a really strong team. They haven't really shown much faltering. Okay, second place. I don't know. Honestly, I want
yes, you know.
Okay, wait, I want TSM. Okay, I want TSM. I talked to you about this yesterday. I think TSM and Origin are either going to split their third, fourth. I think TSM can take a game off KT Rolster. I don't know if they can win both and take second. I think if TSM and Santorin actually show up, then they can actually have a chance at even winning
a game.
But realistically, I gotta say KT Rolster looks like the best team for second place. But I think TSM can take third. I don't think Origin is very good. They've been the only team to really give Fnatic a run for their money. But I think I'm very dependent on how Turtle shows up. That's my whole thing. I think that's gonna be a very important factor.
Maybe they're watching too much SKLeague. TSM really inconsistent. So if they play like TSM can absolutely play, and they've shown in the past, then I can see them pretty much. I don't want to say like rolling over Origin, but handedly winning those two games.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think Group D will be a lot of fun to watch. I think it'll be good. Group D and Group B are definitely going to be the actual groups to watch. But
for sure.
I mean, Silky, I think that's about it for me. Unless we got like random questions anyone wants to ask.
Any questions here? I'll look in the Twitch chat here through the depths of.
I think P McKay asked if you were single.
Right. P McKay did ask that, and I am very much single. I'm about as single as it gets, I think. And if I'm not mistaken, Dazaninator, I think you are too. Is that?
Oh yeah.
The word on the street is.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. That's a really weird question to ask. What is love?
Where did I get these shirts? Well, purchased the shirts at the old Saskatoon Expo we recently attended at the SKL booth. They have some very handsome, very nice gentlemen there. helped us out, answered some questions, sold us some shirts. It was very nice.
If you want to get a shirt of your own, you can buy one on our website, skleague.ca. There's all the links on there. I guess if we're wrapping this up, Dazaninator, any comments first before we get onto the formalities on anything about SKL related, Worlds related, anything you want to throw out that you maybe didn't have the chance to?
I don't think so. I think I covered a lot. I think if anything, make sure you check out the games next week. We are going to have some very good games.
Absolutely.
Starts Monday, 7 p.m. Team Dignitas versus Indecision. Make sure you check it out.
Yeah, same time, same place, right here on Twitch, 7 p.m. all week long. And it'll be casted by the likes of me, Dazaninator, got Panax, Crafty Buckeye, Big Booty Bodie, Zaramali. We got the whole crew, got Skillas behind the camera, got Zoom and Cadence as well.
Okay, hold on. I'm answering this question. Opinion on ELO Hell. All right, ELO Hell is a real place, but it is one you put in your own head. ELO Hell exists from unranked until about Challenger. So if you are not if you're not in Challenger, you're in ELO Hell. Let's be real. People are toxic. That's how it rolls. It's solo queue is more of a test of persistence than it is of skill. And try and be nice to people. You know, I have problems with my toxicity. Sometimes I lash out. It happens. But hey, I played a 4v5 game today with Crafty. We had a guy who was AFK for 23 minutes and we won. We didn't rage at each other. You pulled together. And you
it's all
win.
about attitude.
It's all about attitude, 100%.
We have another question here, Dazzle. Somebody SKLeague just tuned in and wants to know what our predictions were for Group B. So we'll go over that right quick.
I think we had the same predictions, right?
Yeah, same predictions. So I'll just run through for our boy SKLeague. Me and Dazaninator both had Fnatic going first at a Group B, with a very close second coming in for Invictus Gaming, and then pretty much from there, no surprises. HQ Esports Club going to go third. Cloud9, I think it's very well agreed upon that they're probably not going to win a game in this whole tournament. I'm not a believer in pretty much anyone on that team, honestly. I'm pretty pessimistic.
I'm sorry, running the gauntlet in NA is a lot different than making it out of Worlds.
Yeah, these are world-class teams. Every team they face in the gauntlet definitely has some very, very weak points about their team.
I definitely think that Fnatic and IG will be a lot closer. I honestly think it'll be a tiebreaker for first between Fnatic and IG. I think they'll split 1-1. And then maybe depending how they go against the other teams. But I think that'll be close as hell. But I honestly believe Fnatic is the best Western team. And probably the team, if you are in the Western Hemisphere, cheer for that team because they'll give you the best run for your money at Worlds.
Well, not only that, but from what it sounds like, a lot of the Chinese, Korean teams are saying that Fnatic is probably one of their tougher opponents coming into Worlds, honestly. And probably the only Western team worth really worrying about. But you know what? If Fnatic plays like they can, I think they're a little one-dimensional myself, but prove me wrong all season long and are looking like the best team in the West. So that's our predictions for Group B, and I think that's all we really wanted to talk. Pancakes or waffles, Dazaninator?
I'm a waffles guy. Pancakes are too fluffy for me. The texture bothers me. I can only eat like one pancake. I like waffles.
Fluffiness is what makes pancakes great. I'm a pancakes.
But think about it. Okay, you take waffles, you spread Nutella on it, and then put syrup on it, throw some strawberries. Man, that's not even a waffle anymore. It's like brand new. It's something else.
Look, you could do the same with pancakes. Why you gotta hate?
Thoughts on AP Misfortune? I don't know, Skillas. What are your thoughts on AP Misfortune? Personally, I hear you're a legend at it. Best underwear to wear playing solo queue. Well, you assume that I'm even wearing pants right now. Don't wear anything when you solo queue. Be yourself. Be free. Don't let clothes restrict you from gaining ELO. Don't wear underwear.
Honestly, Hojo, I agree. But if you're not gonna go commando, then something with lots of room to breathe. Breathability is huge, especially when you're sitting for long periods of time. You got to let the boys breathe down there. So, or if you're a girl, you know what? Just breathability is the biggest thing. So I don't like to wear like warm stuff. I like to be cool. I like to be airy. So just something that can breathe.
Thoughts on Singed? I like Singed as a champion, except, okay, here's the thing. Singed is one of the most ridiculous champions. I swear to God, every time I have a Singed on my team, they feed profusely. but they come out huge in the end game and they just kick ass. Like regardless if they're on your team or on the enemy team. Also, I've heard you're a pretty proficient Singed player, so Poof, why don't you whip that out next week so we can see how it's done? Show me
Yeah,
the legendary Singed play.
please, Poof, pull out the Singe. No, you like that champion. Played against it once myself. 3 kills in the first minute. Wasn't fun.
Okay, yeah, let's not. Okay, okay, it was
Yes.
Galio top. I tried my best. It's my team. I swear, the admins just fed. I swear. I'm just kidding. But no, it was beast. But yeah, if anyway, I'll give him 2 more minutes. We'll give him 2 more minutes. Wrap up the questions.
Yeah, 2 more minutes of question, guys. Put him in there.
As far as that, Galio top, man. Galio is an underestimated champion. I'm serious. I'm surprised nobody plays that guy. Actually, there was someone in the qualifier that ran it. I can't remember. They ran Galio mid, and I was so stoked. Cause
All right, Dazaninator. Favorite color?
what? Are you asking
Favorite
me
color?
this?
Yeah, I am.
Red, hands down.
Blue myself, but that's just me.
Trying to make this a thing, like, oh yeah, that's your favorite color. You guys doing any game/in-house thing? Yeah, you know what? I will run some in-house games after this. Feel free to add me. Actually, while we're on the spot of in-game house, make sure to check out community.skleague.ca. Find fellow. It's our community site. You find that stuff. Find fellow-minded gamers of yourself. Definitely go on there. We'll probably run some in-house ARAMs in games if we have the people. Let's be honest. Add Dazaninator. I'll just put an arrow towards myself. That's my in-game name. Feel free to add it.
Absolutely.
Favorite champions, back to back. Silky, you go. Everyone, mine's pretty obvious. So you go.
It's like picking my favorite child. Honestly, I like to think I'm a jack of all trades as far as position comes. I don't like to corner myself in one position, but right now, if I had to pick a favorite champion, it'd be Vayne. I'll go with the Vayne.
I can confirm I've stolen it. Okay, you know what? Everyone knows my favorite champion is Draven. So besides Draven, my other favorite champion would have to be Ziggs. I like playing mid lane. He's a fun champion. I pretty much bought him on release, and I only play him mid lane. I don't care what the matchup is. I will pick Ziggs into it. I'm sure Silky's witnessed me live or die by the Ziggs pick. But he's a fun champion. He's troll as hell, and Snow Day Ziggs is probably my favorite skin in the game. So I stick to Ziggs, hands down. I love that champion. Wonderful.
Absolutely. Fun
Yeah,
champion.
the all in level 2. I should have done that. I never did that at the 1v1 tournament. I had the legendary all in level 2. It was my legacy, but then they nerfed the passive damage on your auto, and they nerfed minefield damage, and it just wasn't as good. But
All right. Any other questions? I think we'll take one more question if there's any questions in the next 10 seconds here. Then we'll wrap it up. All right, no more questions.
all right,
We'll wrap it up. That's it.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Silky Carter, Silky Mittens Asselford, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me, Dazzle. As always.
It gets pretty lonely talking by yourself. So I
right.
definitely quickly. Never played Darkscape. Only played RuneScape forever ago. RuneScape. I buy margarine. Boom. As far as this goes, yeah. Make sure guys tune in, watch the games next week. Check out our website, skleague.ca. We have our Facebook on there, Twitter, anything you guys want to watch. Nutella or Reese's spread. Reese's spread, man. That stuff is delicious. It's peanut butter and Nutella mixed together. Incredible. Go buy it. Just came out. I'm sorry I had to answer that. But check out the website, our Facebook, our Twitter's on there, our Reddit. Go post there. Check out the community website. Honestly, make an account. Post there. I mean, I play a lot of games. Everyone does. Everyone likes playing games with other people. Post about anything. I don't even like if you still play Jax and you want someone to play Jax with, like the game where you throw the ball, you pick them up, you grab the ball. Man, make a post on there and look for people. Honestly, we're trying to make this a community thing. It's a good way to find people to play games with. Check that all out. As far as the games, yeah, Monday, Team Dignitas versus Indecision. Silky, you got any last words?
Yeah, for sure. Just want to throw out a big word to our sponsors. I don't know if you've done this already. I've been zoning out, but always want to throw out a word to our sponsors. Want to thank HyperX for giving us prizing for the regular season SKL, as well as giving us lots of other stuff. So I want to thank them very much. Matrix Gaming is where our live venue is going to be held in Regina. If you're in Regina, you ever want to play some games, PC gaming, anything like that, They have tons of new computers there, so you just go, you pay an hourly rate, I believe, and you'll play definitely like state of the art computers and stuff. So if you're ever in Regina, definitely check them out. As well, last but not least, Wide Mouth Media. Everything you see on stream, all the overlays, all the logos of the teams, even our website, everything created by Wide Mouth Media. If you ever want something like that done for yourself, content creation, graphic design, they do video stuff. I know they do production stuff. They used to do some WHL stuff in Swift Current for the Broncos. So if you ever want weddings, anything like that, sporting events, check out Wide Mouth Media. That's pretty much it for sponsors, guys. I've been Silky Mittens.
And I've been Blake Dazzle Dazaninator. Sanidine. I don't know why I call myself Dazzle Dazaninator. I guess it's a little different. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you, Skillos. Actually, if you guys check out our Reddit, we now have Reddit flares with all the team logos. So especially you guys in the SKL, go rep your favorite teams. Personally, I'll be having an SKL admin one because our team is incredible. Also, yeah, if anyone's looking to challenge the SKL admin teams, contact one of us. We're legendary. We'll try and take it easy out on you guys. Pretty good scrim partners. But no, thanks for tuning in. Sorry, guys, that the game was cut short. This has been Dazzle's Discussion, Episode 1. It'll be a weekly thing. We'll hopefully post some more guests, but definitely tune in. We enjoyed answering you guys' questions. So thanks for stopping by.